For years, whispers have followed the famous astronaut Neil Armstrong, suggesting there was more to his story than the public ever knew. Now, his family's recent revelations have brought these speculations to light, surprising many. Could Armstrong have kept information hidden from the world all this time? In this video, we'll explore the shocking truths his family has finally revealed, truths that may change everything we thought we knew about the man who made history. Neil Armstrong is more than just the first man to step on the moon. His name is etched permanently in the history books. On July 20, 1969, as he climbed down the ladder of the Apollo 11 lunar module and said those famous words, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind," he instantly became a worldwide icon. His landing marked the climax of the space race, symbolizing not just a win for the United States, but a victory for all of humanity. But Armstrong's story goes beyond his lunar walk. Many details of his life remained private, only coming to light after his death in 2012. Yet, there's a hidden part of Neil Armstrong's life that no one expected, a truth that changes everything we thought we knew about the man who made history. Armstrong was a humble man who didn't like the spotlight. Rather than basking in fame, he focused on the nuts and bolts of his job. After his lunar adventure, he returned to a quiet life, teaching at the University of Cincinnati. He used his experiences to mentor future engineers and astronauts. Staying out of the limelight only increased his respect, making people see him as a man of integrity and quiet strength. However, Armstrong's life wasn't without its tough spots and unanswered questions. Despite his public persona, many parts of his life were kept away from the public eye. Over the years, various tales and theories emerged about what he might have encountered on the moon and what his life was like afterward. Did he see something on the moon that he kept to himself? Was there more to his calm nature than met the eye? These questions lingered, but Armstrong never addressed them. It wasn't until after his death that some of these questions started to find answers. His first wife, Janet, who had always protected his privacy, began to share details of his life that had previously been unknown. These revelations seemed to support the suspicions surrounding Armstrong's time during and after the Apollo 11 mission. Janet revealed aspects of Armstrong's life that had been kept hidden, sometimes literally, until his death. These insights suggested that his silence, his enigmatic aura, and his reluctance to share certain details were not just quirks of his personality, but intentional choices to keep certain things private. Neil Armstrong's impact goes far beyond just stepping on the moon. He was a complex person, an astronaut, a trailblazer, and a man whose deeds were as significant as the truths he chose not to share. With these new revelations, we begin to understand that his contributions to history and the space program were about more than just his actions, they were also about the things he decided to keep hidden. The Apollo 11 mission was the culmination of years of tough training and detailed planning. The road to that unforgettable day in July 1969 was filled with countless hours of physical and mental preparation. The stakes were sky high, and failure was not an option. They had to be ready for anything, no matter how unlikely. The mission demanded an extraordinary level of endurance and skill. Preparing for the moon's surface was a crucial part of the training. The moon's gravity is only 1/6 of Earth's, which means moving around there would feel strange and difficult. To prepare, Armstrong spent hours in a special facility designed to mimic the moon's low-gravity environment. There, he practiced walking, running, and moving around in a bulky spacesuit, assisted by wires that made it feel like he was on the moon. In addition to the physical challenges, Armstrong had to mentally prepare for the isolation and stress of being in space. The Apollo 11 mission would take him hundreds of thousands of miles from Earth, separated from the deadly vacuum of space by just a thin sheet of metal and some tech. NASA's training included intense psychological tests and simulations to ensure the astronauts could stay calm and focused in extreme situations. Behind Armstrong's quiet demeanor was a man who endured tough training that pushed him to become a true legend. One of the toughest tests was a full-scale practice of the moon landing. Armstrong and fellow astronaut Buzz Aldrin were placed in a replica lunar module and faced a series of tough scenarios. In one test, the computer designed to guide their landing broke down, and Armstrong had to manually steer the spacecraft. With just moments to spare and the fuel running low, he had to find a safe landing spot, all while staying in contact with mission control and remaining calm. This test mirrored exactly what he would later face on the Moon. Survival training was another crucial part of the preparation. Armstrong and his fellow astronauts underwent intense survival training in deserts, jungles, and the open sea, learning how to make it on their own with minimal supplies. In one intense drill, Armstrong was dropped in the middle of a desert with just a small survival kit and had to navigate his way back to civilization. Armstrong also had to become an expert in the scientific tools and equipment he would need for conducting experiments and collecting samples on the Moon. He spent countless hours practicing how to collect and record rock and soil samples, and learning to use cameras and other tools in the challenging conditions of space. As the launch day approached, Armstrong's training intensified. He knew there was no room for mistakes once the mission began. Every second had to be perfect. By the time Armstrong and his team reached the launch pad at Cape Kennedy, they were as ready as anyone could be. Those who were close to Neil Armstrong confirm what many of us have always believed: his greatness wasn't just about his extraordinary training, resolve, and abilities, but about who he was as a person. His calm demeanor, unrelenting pursuit of perfection, and ability to stay cool under pressure set him apart, not just as the first man to step on the Moon, but as a symbol of human achievement. Armstrong's family has highlighted how his character was integral to his professional accomplishments. On July 20, 1969, the entire world held its breath as the Apollo 11 lunar module, aptly named Eagle, began its descent toward the Moon. The mission, which had started off smoothly with a successful launch, was now in its most crucial phase. Billions of people were glued to their television screens, waiting for that historic moment. As they neared the Moon's surface, Armstrong and Aldrin encountered a series of technical issues that almost derailed the mission. The computer that was supposed to guide their descent became overwhelmed, showing a 1202 error code. For a few tense minutes, it seemed like the mission might have to be cancelled. Back at NASA's Mission Control, engineers scrambled to figure out a solution. Armstrong, maintaining his legendary composure, decided to manually control the lunar module. As the world watched, what happened next demonstrated just how skilled and calm Armstrong truly was. The landing was far from smooth. The area they had planned to land on was filled with large boulders and craters, making it too risky. Armstrong had to steer the module away from this dangerous terrain and search for a safer spot. With only seconds of fuel left, Armstrong found a relatively flat area and carefully guided the Eagle to a safe landing. The tension melted away when Armstrong's voice came through the radio: "Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed." The moments that followed are forever etched in history. Armstrong descended the ladder of the lunar module, and as his left boot touched the Moon's dusty surface, he spoke the iconic words, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." It was a moment of triumph, symbolizing not just the success of the Apollo program but the resilience and creativity of the human spirit. However, there were details of the mission that remained undisclosed. These details would later spark theories and speculation, suggesting that the Moon landing might have been about more than just a technological achievement. One particularly touching and undisclosed detail, hinted at in the film First Man based on James A. Hanson's biography of Neil Armstrong, is that Armstrong might have brought something to the Moon in memory of his late daughter, Karen, who passed away from a brain tumor in 1962. Since Armstrong's first wife, Janet, worked closely with the film's directors, it's likely that this gesture was a private tribute to their daughter, a deeply personal moment amid one of the most significant achievements in human history. This deeper understanding of Armstrong, that he was a man of both great accomplishments and profound personal depth, has been reinforced by those who knew him. His family's recent insights emphasize that Armstrong's legacy isn't just about his extraordinary professional achievements, but also about the personal struggles he chose to keep private. Despite his fame, Armstrong's personal life was not without challenges. After the death of their daughter Karen, Armstrong focused even more on his work, leading to increasing separation from his family. Janet found herself raising their two sons, Rick and Mark, on her own. By 1994, Armstrong and Janet had separated. His family has shared insights into how Armstrong's private struggles were as significant as his public triumphs, confirming that his legacy goes beyond just what was seen on the surface. Kindly like and subscribe our channel for more updates about discovery in space.